Hi, everyone. Happy Thursday. Thanks for joining us for Office Hours Live. And I'm super excited to have Amy Miller with us tonight. She is just a force to be reckoned with. She is a great friend of mine from Twitter. We developed a great friendship from our time on Twitter, and she is a very experienced big tech recruiter and the creator, founder, blogger, mastermind visionary behind Recruiting in Yoga Pants, which is a fabulous channel on YouTube as well as a blog where she offers so much recruiter intel and insight. And we're very lucky to have her today live. And I'm going to bring her in right now. Hello, Amy. Welcome to Office Hours.
Hi, everybody. I like that. I'm a visionary. That's way better than thought leader.
Yes. We share similar feelings on thought leader.
We do. We do.
Yes, we do. We've connected quite a bit on our distaste of thought leader, haven't we? Oh, well, I'm so excited to have you here. And we've been talking about doing something together for a while, and now we're doing it. And thank you so much. I know you just ended your work day, and I appreciate you making the time.
Yes.
Hi to the puppy.
Yes, and there's Abby, my old gray lady. I have a black lab snoring on the couch. She might make an appearance at some point. We'll see.
That's so fun. I love it. I love it. I love it when the pets make appearances.
Yeah.
So we have quite a few people who are already joining us, and I know that people got really excited about this session because they know that they can just learn so much from you.
I hope so.
Oh, I know so. I know so. So I was hoping we could. There's always so much confusion over recruiters. What do recruiters do? Can I hire a recruiter? Can I pay a recruiter? So,
I mean,
in your own words, what does a recruiter do?
I have a little sip of my vodka water. No, I'm just kidding. It's just water. Let me tell you. And my husband actually told me what my job is the other day. And it was really, really good because he's right. He's like, okay, I don't remember what I was complaining about, but he's like, let me tell you what I know of your job, Ames. Like, tell me what you know of my job, John. And he's like, this is what I know. You don't actually do anything for candidates. You find the people who are good for the jobs. And I'm like, okay, like if a retired fireman can get it, like.
There you go.
No, all kidding aside. No, and here's the thing, and this is the misconception, right? Like the idea, and it doesn't matter if you're internal, doesn't matter if you're external, third party, we are paid by a company to go and find, engage, influence, offer, and close the right kind of talent for whatever the business problem is that we're trying to solve. Now, the very nice side effects of that is that sometimes we can help people. We can make referrals, or we can give advice, or we can do this or that. But let me tell you, the person who signs my paycheck gets to direct my work. Yes. And right now, my paycheck is signed by a company that has given me some pretty specific parameters of the kind of person or people that they want to hire. So that is where I have to spend my time. Again, I love the happy side effects of helping people, but that's not my day job. And people hate that.
It's a hard concept, I find, to grasp. I mean, I know I was confused as to what a recruiter did or did not do for the longest time. It's so important that people understand who, exactly as you said, who writes your paycheck, because who writes your paycheck is who you answer to.
100%.
And it's not your job to find people jobs.
I wish.
Their jobs.
That is their job. That's self-employment, my friends. You are responsible for finding your job.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you for clearing that up. I mean, I think that's also why so many people are just like bashing recruiters constantly on LinkedIn, which is a constant annoyance of mine. And I'm like, guys, you're not doing anything for yourselves. Like, come on.
You gotta take that. You gotta take that to private conversation. Believe me, some of the stuff I say about recruiters is never gonna make it on the show. Okay, so I mean, I get it. Have those complaints in private. Make a voodoo doll, whatever you gotta do, whatever gets you through the night. But maybe don't put it publicly on LinkedIn for all of us to read.
Exactly. And especially with the whole like activity insights on profiles that's so very public. Yeah, watch yourselves.
Who needs television when you have LinkedIn comments?
That's right. Truly. Yes, absolutely. I just want to take a moment to say hello to some of the people who are saying hi to us. Hi, Yalda. Hi, Jude. Hi, Dolores. Hi, Bijou. And so I'm not going to pronounce your name right. Sorry. Mevibe. So sorry. Mevibe? I don't know. Teach me how to pronounce your name properly, please. I'm a real stickler for name pronunciation, having a unique name myself. So um so obviously it's not your job to find people jobs, but it is your job to find the right person for a job. So what is it that you really want to see out of resumes that gives you like the indication, like, yeah, I could really invite this person for an interview?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And it's so simple, yet also so frustrating. I mean, it's almost like people don't believe this can possibly be true, because how could it make that much sense, right?
Yeah.
So what I am looking for, I have a very simple question when I am looking at a resume. Now there's two ways I look at resumes, so I'm going to have two different answers.
Okay.
One is I'm looking at a resume that has applied. I mean, all the girls are making an appearance today. What's up with that? They hate being on my channel. I don't know what's going on here. They're all like, showing their butts to the camera. Like,
yes.
Anyway, meet the babies. But no, so I look at it two ways, right? One is I have a role in mind. I'm looking for a specific kind of person that fits a certain position. I'm looking at applicants, whatever that is, right? I always start with applicants. Love me some low-hanging fruit. If you want to be here, I want to talk to you first before I have to go chase somebody and convince them to come here. Okay. Yeah. So number one, so I have a specific goal in mind. I know I need somebody who can perform this function, solve this problem, has this particular skills and abilities and talent. I need to see on the resume that you have those skills, can perform that function, So it's really in the basic qualifications that we live and die by that. Every company I've worked for in at least the last 10 years, if not more, has been bound by OFCCP compliance, which is a federal requirement in the US where, you have to have these very measurable qualifications.
For sure.
So I look at it through that lens. Does this person meet these basic qualifications? Have they do they have an engineering degree or related experience, a number of years of experience? Do they have knowledge of a particular software or hardware fabrication machines or whatever? Have they, if I'm talking about software, have they shipped features before? So there's going to be certain measurable things that if the job says I need someone to do those things, I have to see that on a resume. Like I'm not a mind reader. And I've had this argument with candidates like, oh, well, it's not on my resume. I've done that. What, was I supposed to know that? Like,
where's your crystal ball? Like,
is there? Hello? Yeah, I mean, I had a magic 8-ball, but I don't know what's happened to it. I think one of the kids stole it. So I can only work with the resume. So that's the first thing. The second way that I look at resumes is opportunistically. So I kind of have an idea, right, based on the company I'm working with, or if I'm an agency recruiter, the clients that I'm partnered with, I'm going to look at a resume and say, is there maybe an overall fit here? I'm doing some stuff with satellites right now, right? So anybody who's worked with space or NASA or JPL or, has kind of done like satellite-y stuff and launched stuff up into space, I might be able to find you a home. So even if it's not specific to a role, I'm kind of looking at it through that lens, like, is there an opportunistic opportunity here? Is there maybe a fit for something one of my peers is working on? So I look kind of through both of those lenses equally. First for my own resume that I'm responsible for, but then the second look is is there kind of a broader fit somewhere else in the company?
Right. That makes sense. And to one of your earlier points, like if someone wants to work with you, you want to know, or work with your company, you want to know, which brings us to a very important aspect, which you've spoken of before, which is, actually apply. actually apply.
I knew we were going to talk about this at some point.
Because like thought leaders,
people get so salty about this.
I know, but it seems so logical to me, but there's so much shoved down our throat about like you got to network. Yes, networking is very important. Yes, networking is the foundation of your job search. But if you're not actually submitting an app, how is anybody supposed to know that you want the job other than you told somebody who may have told somebody else who may have told somebody else, and that's just a loop that's going to break, right? So anyway, your thoughts on applying?
My thoughts on applying. So I don't know who needs to hear this, but we cannot actually interview you if your information does not exist in our database.
Got it.
Like there is literally a button that we have to push that says, okay, you've done, your due diligence here and you've confirmed these things and and now you can interview. If you're not in the system, we don't get to push that button.
Right.
So just letting you know. So here's the thing, and here's the other thing. I don't know who needs to hear this. You can do both. You can apply online to roles that you're qualified for and basic qualifications that you meet, and you don't have to choose, y'all. You can do both. And go and find people that work there, recruiters maybe, hiring managers perhaps, potential peers. You can literally do both at the same time.
Yeah. They can't coexist.
It really can't. There's will not be a rip in the space-time continuum. I promise. You're not gonna like release the murder hornets again. I didn't see them the first time, but no. And all kidding aside, I kind of poke a little fun at this because it's so crazy to me that we still have to talk about it.
I know.
But the thing is, if the first question I have immediately, the minute somebody hits me up and says, "Oh, hey, I'm really interested in this," I'm gonna either first of all ask you, "Great, have you applied?" Or I'm gonna just grab your email and plug it into the tool and see if you've applied. And you know what? If you have, everything I need is already right there. I can look at the resume. I can see any previous history. I can kind of get an idea where somebody might be as far as a fit, other interactions, those kinds of things. If I don't do that, or if we just jump straight to a conversation and I ask you, I and if you like, thank God nobody does this, but if you were to respond to me that, I'm not really interested in applying, okay, cool, because you know what, I've got 100 people that did, and I'm going to go talk to them first.
Right.
Like, sorry, like I have to pick and choose where I spend my time.
For sure.
And with people who have actually expressed interest is always going to be number one for me.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, even if you didn't like have to have them already in your database, it's like you're someone asking you, or someone directly going to you without applying online and saying, "Yeah, I'm expressing my interest. This is me. I'm interested in the job." That they're creating work for you. Too.
Yeah, I've been dinged by this before, so why don't we just do it again? Because it's been a while. I need to design a new T-shirt. Don't give me homework.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I had this, in fact, just today, was speaking with a job seeker, and, he was interested. I'm like, hey, you know what? That's actually my role I'm working on. So you got the right recruiter, so that's good. And, I'm like, it's helpful if you do apply, like that's critical. But if you want to shoot me your resume too, like I've got a few minutes, I can kind of give you some quick feedback. And of course, sends me the resume, he applies. My sourcer must have been really working hard today because apparently he was rejected quite quickly. But here's the thing. And so as I'm having this conversation with him, I'm like, dude, I totally see why. Like, your resume, again, going back to our earlier point, does not in any way address the role that you just hit me up about.
Right.
Like, I can kind of dig through and I can kind of see some relevant stuff there, but I need you, sir, which he did. Thank you. So thanks, buddy, if you're watching. I need you to like restructure this. Like, I'm happy to give you, I want to consider you, and I love the proactive approach and reaching out to me, and all that is good. But again, we can only work with the information that you're providing us, and making sure that that resume is targeted and answers the question. The question is always, can this person be successful in this job?
Right.
If the answer is yes, and I can figure that out by reading your resume, I want to call you and learn more. Look, we're not making an offer based on a resume, right? There's a bunch of stuff we got to do to get to that point. But that is the first step. That is as close to a magic handshake as you're going to get. It is, there's no secret password, but there are keywords.
Yeah. Yes. Well, keywords is definitely something I want to ask you more about. But before we get to that, so let's say we've checked the box of applying.
Yeah.
So we've applied. We've done that. We've covered ourselves there. If I was to reach out to you to cover off the networking piece, how would you like me to reach out to you? Like what's a message you're like, I'll reach back to this person?
Yeah, so this kind of backfired in me in actually the funniest way, though.
Okay. You got millions of emails.
I actually created 3 templates. So, because I believe in a 3-pronged approach, right?
Yes.
There are 3 people that can help you get a job somewhere or help you get connected. The recruiter,
yes,
the leader who is doing the hiring, who feels the pain, and the peer, right?
Yep.
The person who's doing the job you want to do, who would be a coworker or something like that. Sure. So I actually wrote a blog post about networking with recruiters on LinkedIn, and I think I did a video on it as well.
Yep.
And I wrote these templates for these 3 people. And so you can email me, you can get the templates. And if you use that template to email me, I have to respond. I mean, how terrible would it be if I did not?
So
like, you're using your own template on me.
Yes.
Well played, sir.
Very well played.
Nice work, ma'am. Well, how do I not respond to that? So, but in all seriousness, I mean, that's, kind of a funny aside, and I kick myself every time. I'm like, oh, God, I got to respond to that one. No, I'm just kidding. But no, the idea, though, right? The idea behind the templates, though, is that I'm being very intentional in my request. Right. I'm, if I'm talking to a hiring manager, somebody that I think could be a leader for the kind of work that I want to do. Hi, I saw this role posted. I've gone ahead and applied to it because I'm a good student of Amy Miller.
Yeah, that's right.
And here are the key things that I think make me a good fit or whatever. I don't know if my resume has hit your desk yet, but I did want to let you know that I am interested. Here's why. Here's my availability if you're open to a quick call, and please feel free to forward this to anyone else that I should be connecting with. This is important. This is so important. And let me tell you why. Okay. Because 2 reasons. Number 1, you're giving the person an out. If it's not their role, if it's not their, purview, they can now very quickly, because you've given them permission, hit the forward button, shoot it off to the right person. Right. I'm personally not comfortable doing that unless someone has explicitly told me it's okay. Like, I'm just sensitive about like sharing personal information and throwing people's stuff around. But if you tell me it's okay, then I'm going to do it. The second reason is you have now given them an out. Right. Like, they're not required to respond. It's, you're not asking to pick their brain. It's like, if I can be of value to you and you would like to speak with me or whatever, here's my contact info. Here's the email I use to apply to the job, because we do search, by email typically. If you search by name, try searching anywhere for Amy Miller. No, not that one. No, not that one either. In fact, my one of my hiring managers was joking with me. He's like, I created this fake profile, and I used your name. I'm like, my name? He's like, yeah, but I made the first name John. I'm like, oh, that's my husband. So, we have the most common aliases on the planet. So, that's right. Emails are good. But no, but I think kind of being super, super intentional, giving them a clear call to action, but then also giving them an escape valve. Huge. And I've tested this with hiring managers, and they love it. Like, hiring managers are like overwhelmed. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I love that, the escape valve. I love that, and obviously not creating work for them.
Yeah.
So not making them figure something out for you, figure
Yeah.
out how you are a match, figure out how you can solve their business
Mhm.
problem. You gotta do that work. You gotta do that legwork as the job seeker, of course. But I
Absolutely.
love that escape valve tip. That's a
Very
great one.
handy.
Yes, very handy. Excellent, excellent. Wow, this is great stuff. Just checking in on the chat here to see if there's anything that relates to what we're talking about. Um, okay, here's a good one. I'm just going to bring this up
Yeah.
because it goes back to what we were talking about with resumes. So, transitioning to a new role, what would you suggest I highlight in my resume? And is there a particular number of roles a candidate can apply for at Amazon? Ooh,
Yeah, so I'll answer that generally
sure.
because I think most big companies would have the same idea, right? Yes, recruiters are going to look and see what you've applied to. Like, and the reason why is we want to see is their history, right? It is very important on the inside to be a good corporate citizen.
Mm,
Nobody wants the reputation of being the shitty recruiter. Can I say shitty on your
yeah,
channel?
you bet. Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Not monetized
Nobody
yet.
wants to be the shitty recruiter
Yeah.
who is stealing other people's candidates or,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So we want to do just a quick sanity check. Like, okay, is it Akanksha? I hope I'm saying that right. It's a very pretty name. Are they already engaged with a different team? Are they already down the road with a different organization or whatever? So we want to kind of sanity check that, number one. And then
Mm,
number two, looking at, holy crap, this person's applied to 1,000 roles. That's a lot, right? I got to be honest with you. I don't care as long as they're all relevant.
mm,
Because believe me, you probably could apply to 1,000 software engineering roles at some of these big companies.
true.
There
So
are
true.
that many.
Hmm.
So for me, it's way more about the relevance of the role
Right.
as opposed to the number. I could care less. And a lot of times this history goes back 5, 10, 15 years. So
Mm,
we see
hmm.
roles you applied to in, 2006. I'm
Yeah.
not going to hold
Yeah.
that against you. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm sure my name's all over the place. Like I said, Search Amy Miller.
That's a good point. And so if someone is applying to say 1,000 software
Yeah.
engineering jobs, and they are software engineering
Yeah.
specific, so all relevant. What about different geographies? Like if
Yeah.
someone is like, I can live anywhere, well,
Yeah.
and I can legally work anywhere in the states, let's say.
Right. Right.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. I always try to assume if someone is well, of course 2020 is just, I mean, does
yeah,
anybody go to the office right now? So
yeah,
it's already
right.
kind of a mess anyway. Like
Yeah, it sure
how
is.
much is geography really a point anymore?
Right.
However, I do work with hardware people, so it actually is important. But anyway, I just assume that if you're applying to a job in Redmond, Washington,
Sure.
that you are willing to move to Redmond, Washington. And I've
Right.
been fortunate to work for companies that provide relo, so it's not a big deal. I am going to ask you, though, in our first call, like every other thing being equal, if you're a great candidate and you fit otherwise, I could care less about location.
Hmm.
But believe me, in that first phone call, I'm going to bring it up. Like, I just want to make sure you did apply. I assume you know. Most of the time they're like, oh yeah, no, I want to be there, or no, I'm open, or whatever, or if you force me, I'll move, whatever the answer might be. But I have no issues at all with people relocating. We've got budget for it. It's fine. So
Mm.
not a big deal for me.
Okay, that's good. Would you recommend though that that a candidate just indicate on their resume that they're willing to
Yeah.
relocate? Yeah.
I
Okay.
think that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that summary. And I imagine we might dig into this as well if we have time, but kind of that
Sure.
first section of the resume, right? And
Yeah.
if it makes sense, like if it just gives you a little peace of mind as a candidate, throw that in there. Experienced structural engineer with this background and that ability, looking to move to Seattle. Like that's fine. I mean, there's probably a better way to say it, and hire her. She can help you with that. But I think that there's ways you can kind of wordsmith that and add it in if you're concerned.
Sure.
I wouldn't require it necessarily, but I would have zero issues if somebody did that.
Oh, that's good. And I guess to Akanksha's point as well about transitioning into a new role, the
Yeah,
summary, to your point, would be a great spot to really discuss
100%.
what you're doing, how that transition is happening, why it's happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great stuff. So you were talking about having like files on people back to 2006.
Yeah.
So
Or older.
or older, which is amazing. Let's talk about the ATS.
Oh, my favorite.
Everybody's favorite
Oh,
topic.
hold on. Let me get the guy who
Oh,
actually runs the ATS.
Sherman.
Maybe he can answer your questions. Because apparently
Sherman.
it's him, not me. Yeah,
That's
Sherman's
right.
here.
That's right. So, so when you're using the ATS,
Yeah.
like how are you, just high level? How are you
Yeah, for
actually
sure.
using it? Like, what does it
So,
do for you?
you know, I have a bottle of Excedrin with my ATS's name on it, just
Yeah.
so you know. So let me say, you know, and this is not a humble brag, or at least not as intended to be. I've worked for 3 very large tech companies.
Yes.
We have had an ATS in each of those very large tech companies. Now, I think it's safe to say that each of these very large tech companies have built, created, developed some really cool AI, you know, robots and drones and, you know, all crazy stuff, right?
Yep.
They're not working on my ATS, just so you
Right.
know. Those engineers,
Thank God.
very busy doing other shit. Okay,
Yes.
they're not hanging out with me.
Right.
So what my ATS really does, it is basically a giant database. You know, think about the old school like Access where it's like a bunch of Excel files, you know, stacked behind it. Like that's kind of what it still is after all this time.
Right. Makes
And
sense.
so
Yeah.
the way I use it, and this is pretty general, there's different ones, you know, you have ISIMs and Taleo and different, you know, whatever. Some are
Yep.
homegrown systems, you know, depending on the company, things like that. The way that I use it is I'll have a requisition and then has all these applicant buckets, if you will. So these categories, right? Underneath, they've got the requisition and then applicant, interview, offer, like different stages,
Right.
depending
Okay.
on how it's structured.
Makes sense.
I start with the applicant bucket, obviously, people who are unviewed, and I look at them. And I will click a button to either move them forward or move them to the reject bucket. So they're still very visible. Sherman does not eat them, contrary to popular belief. They are still, look how skinny this guy is. They are still in the database. They are just tagged to a different bucket. Did you want to go out? Let me text my family to come get the dog.
Okay, no problem.
Golly, sorry guys. This live TV is fun, isn't it?
It is. It is. They've been very patient, though, I have to say.
They're so good. They hate being on video. It's weird. They get really anxious when I'm recording in here. But anywho, so that's kind of the general idea, right? Like it's in there. You can see them. It just there's a status applied, right? If you will.
Okay.
Now, one of the misconceptions and one of the things that people think happens is, oh, well, there's a filter. You know, there's this naughty filter that's looking for keywords that's going to, you know, put me into this bad bucket and Sherman's going to eat me. Okay, that's the misconception.
Right.
The only filter I've personally ever seen, I know, that I've personally ever seen, somebody come get this dog, is one that a human is applying. Like I have to actually go in and enter a Boolean string or do like a control F to highlight certain keywords, things like that. I have to do that as, Lord have mercy, as an individual. Let me try a kid now. Husband's not answering.
We can put this on pause and I can check out the chat if need be. It's all good. I don't want to stress them out.
They're always stressed. They're my dogs.
Okay. You tell them.
We yeah, if they get noisy, let me know and I'll.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I barely hear them.
Cool. So, okay, my son responded. Awesome. Okay,
great.
So all the people who live in my house, somebody should be listening. So that's where the filter comes in, right? And that's where people kind of get anxious or concerned, or you know, thinking that there's this bot or there's this machine that's doing it, and it's not. It's a person.
Right.
Now, I will tell you, for me, I've only seen stack ranking one time, and it was in Taleo.
Okay.
And it was like just another field. Like you had a list of names, right? And then there was
Yep.
a field that had like a percentage. That percentage was allegedly somehow based on the fit against the basic qualifications, which we have
Okay.
loaded into the tool, right? So it kind of knows that's what it is.
Yep.
I always found that to be less than accurate. So I just
Okay.
ignored it. I mean,
Yeah.
just again, other recruiters may have a different perspective here. I actually found more false positives and false negatives that I just
Okay.
didn't trust it. Like I want to see it for myself.
Fair enough.
I've been recruiting since before ATSs, so it may just be that. But I just didn't trust it. So I will
Yeah.
do my own quick scan. I'll pull out a control F if I need to. But other than that, they're glorified databases, y'all. I know that's not the popular party line with thought leaders, but it's true. Sorry.
Okay. And that's in watching your video on the truth about, I think you
Mm-hmm.
called it the truth about the ATS, which is
Yeah.
super valuable. Like I learned so much from that. Really, what that did in my mind is it solidified in my mind the ATS is really like a CRM slash
Yeah.
project management
100%.
tool
Yeah.
that is used in hiring. And
Yeah.
obviously we've eliminated the misconception that any robots are rejecting. It's only humans that are rejecting. And and Sherman's smart, but he's just not that smart.
Sherman just ain't got that kind of time. He's hanging out with Bob Ross.
That's right. That's
Making
right.
some
That's way better use of his time than
happy
rejecting
little
resumes.
trees,
I
no
love Bob Ross.
mistakes.
Oh, I love
It's
Bob
all
Ross.
right.
Uh, so, so humans are rejecting resumes. So we
Yes.
know that from a keyword perspective, the
Yeah.
keywords only really, it sounds like it only really comes into play when you are running a specific
Yeah.
search. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And that's another plug, honestly, for applying to jobs, right?
mhm,
Because I get it. Competition is fierce right now. I definitely have seen my applicant flow increase. So I do
sure.
understand that. I am not unsympathetic to the amount of effort that job seekers are putting in for what feels like super little reward. I totally get that. But here's the other thing. When I get a new search, I post the role, it takes however 24 hours to replicate through the system and get,
Right.
actually get posted or whatever, that's fine. What do you think the second thing I do is? I
What's that?
actually go run a search in the database.
Okay. There you go.
I
To
want to
see who's
see like
already there.
did we maybe already did somebody interview to the role the last time we posted it and then we maybe missed them before or whatever, or somebody that applied to something at a different team that we maybe never saw. Like I'm always going to search there first.
That makes
Why would I
sense.
not, especially having worked for such large companies? Well, Google will tell you they have everybody in their database. I actually proved that wrong. They didn't
Okay.
believe me.
Oh
I was like,
yeah.
this guy's not in it. I found him. But anyway, that's another story. But I mean, realistically, these larger companies have oodles and oodles and oodles of information
For
on
sure.
previous applicants. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
always going to search there first. Hey, you expressed interest 2 years ago. You liked us then. Do you like us now? I mean, I'm going to ask, before I go blindly on LinkedIn and send a in-mail, for God's sake. Ugh.
So
It
actually,
hurts.
how often are you doing that? Are you like, I don't know how much you can say about this, but like when it comes to active applicants coming
Yeah.
in and applicants that you're going out and pursuing, like passive
Hmm.
job seekers, what's the split on that? How many are passive? How
Yeah.
many are active?
So I love this question, and I think it's so interesting, and people don't believe me when I tell them this, but it's true.
Okay. Okay.
I spend the majority of my time with, I would say, 80/20
80/20, 80
applicants.
passive.
No,
Oh,
80
sorry.
applicants.
Oh, okay.
80%
Okay.
applicants. Now let me caveat that. I would
Okay.
also include referrals in that bucket because
Okay.
again, these are people who are coming to me through a medium, through a referral, through a
Right.
shared connection, through applying, of course,
Sure.
those kinds of
Yep.
things. And it's a function, I think, at least today, it's a function of a couple things. I think one, just the market is what it is, and
Sure.
unemployment sucks, all that.
Sure
So that
does.
definitely drives more applicants. But I think also the project I'm working on is like super cool.
Yeah.
And so people are excited about it, right? Like they're interested. And so why wouldn't I go there first? I think the other caveat too, though, so in fairness, my role, I'm a full lifecycle recruiter. That means I manage the whole process start to finish. I'm the client lead recruiter for a particular part of the business. Like I've got a lot of stuff going on outside of just candidate generation. Like that's an
Right.
important part, of course, but I have all this other stuff, right, that goes
Mhm.
on as well.
Sure.
I have dedicated sourcers. So they're the ones that are, 100% like candidate generation, and they're spending most of their time kind of externally. I do obviously encourage them to, keep an eye on our applicant buckets and kind of partner
Sure.
with me on that. So it could, it's a function of that as well, right? Like I have to be honest, my job is structured in a way that spending time with applicants makes more sense.
Yep.
But I think it should always, and I tell my sourcers this as well, always, always, always should be the first step. Always look there first. If you
Yeah.
don't see what you need, that's cool. We can go search elsewhere. But
Yep.
there are no prizes for pulling somebody kicking and screaming out of Idaho. You're not going to win anything. A hire is a hire, regardless of where they came from. So let's not overextend ourselves. Just saying.
It goes back to the low-hanging fruit, though. It's
Yeah.
just logical, I would think.
Right?
Yeah, yeah. Like in my job, I don't go out and pitch people that aren't job searching.
I mean, right?
Like,
Like, why? Like, I said this to
why
I
work
said this
hard?
in a recruiting group. I'm like, would you try to date a married person? Like, why are you chasing business that's not for you?
Yeah, right.
Maybe not my finest analogy, but I do
Hey,
have
it
quite a few
works.
bad ones.
It works. So let's say it is the 20%. So you are going and you are
Yes.
actively searching someone out. So let's say you're doing that search on LinkedIn, which I assume is where you do a bulk of your searching, right, for candidates, or no? I mean, we're
I
doing
would
it.
say
Sorry.
I would say most recruiters do.
Okay. 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 Good.
Yeah.
Good. So I'm not leading job seekers
No,
astray.
no,
All right.
no, you're not. I have my own personal like kind of. So here's what I do.
Okay.
Here's what I do.
Tell
I
me.
actually will search for them on LinkedIn,
Okay.
but then I will go and find them and find their personal emails and phone numbers through different methods.
Okay.
So I'm finding you on LinkedIn. Like there's a ton of value in having a really robust
Sure.
LinkedIn profile.
Right.
I'm just not going to send you an email. I have like a moral obligation to never use InMail personally. So
Okay, very interesting. Sounds like there's a lot going on there.
maybe a story there. Maybe we'll get to it.
Maybe we'll get into that. So, okay, so like let's say you find me on LinkedIn
Yeah.
and you want to reach out to me, where might you find me elsewhere? Like if you're getting my personal email and I'm not already.
Yeah. So, oh gosh, I don't know how much I'm supposed to say. So,
Yeah,
there's a ton of like
expose it.
extensions and like
Right.
recruiter stuff that we can use. Here's the reason why, right? Like, okay, so there's a couple ways that I'll do this. If somebody is in my industry, if they're kind of connected to similar people, and there's somebody that like long-term kind of opportunistically could be a fit now or in the future,
Yep.
I'm just going to connect with you.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
I'm a pretty open connector anyway. So I mean, I'm probably just going to send you an invite and like, let's be friends on LinkedIn, right? So
Yeah.
that's one way. If it's more of like, I want to connect with you about a specific job, I want to
Yeah.
find you. I mean, look, if you're open, if you've got the little green picture around you, like I live for that shit. Like I'm like, oh yeah, they're interested, they're open. I gotta get, that's what I'm gonna go get. But the reason I kind of index so heavily on trying to find personal contact information
Yeah.
is because it is so important to me to make the outreach personal.
That makes so much sense.
I don't want to just send another in-mail like every other recruiter on the planet.
Yeah.
I don't want to put you in a form, where it's going to 50 people at the same time. Like those things are so gross to me. So if you have your contact information in your LinkedIn profile, oh, that's even better. If you have a resume uploaded, oh, I will click that link every time, right? So the more you're kind of giving me to work with, if you want to be found,
Yep.
that's how to do it. Like make it easy enough for a recruiter to do it. Like
Right.
that's the key,
Yeah.
like
Make it easy. Yeah. And one thing that I am always recommending to people on their LinkedIn profiles is to include their email address. Would you go and grab one? Yeah. From there? Okay.
Yes. Save
Okay.
me the trouble so I don't have to
Great.
pay for the search thing to give it to me.
The
No,
private
that's
investigator.
brilliant. Yeah. Yeah, I could tell you some stories about tracking down, All kinds of people.
Ooh. Maybe that's for episode 2.
Talk about that.
So that's really interesting to know. And like, so most recruiters, not yourself, are using LinkedIn to
They
run
are.
the search.
Yeah.
So I assume that it's heavily keyword driven, right?
It
Like,
is.
yeah,
It
okay,
is. Yeah. And it's a personal thing. Like I said, I know a ton of recruiters who are really good at it, who love LinkedIn Recruiter. Like, I don't have a problem with it necessarily. I just tend to be more organic and like,
yep,
I just want to connect with people and like tap my
yeah,
network and look at applicants. Like, I just approach it differently. But yeah,
yeah,
it is. If we're talking about how do I get found, yeah. And
yeah,
so again, going back to keywords, it's just like building the resume. You want to make sure that your headline, your about section, all of those like key indicators, the first place a recruiter is going to look are peppered with that language, and try to mirror the job descriptions or the verbiage of the company you want to be at. If
mm-hmm.
Microsoft calls it an SDE, but Google calls it an SWE, maybe you do both if you're open to both companies, right? Like,
Right,
that's okay. You can do that,
yeah,
but you want to kind of mirror their language and make sure you're using, Java, C++, C Sharp, whatever, because those are the things that recruiters are searching for.
right, absolutely, absolutely. And like, I kind of take my cues from like, what is LinkedIn developing more of? And so
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know if everyone on this live knows, but you can get some extra characters in your headline if you upload it on the app. So 120 characters using the desktop version versus 200 on the app. So there's that. So
Did not
there's
know that.
a little more character. Sorry.
I did not know
Oh, you
that.
didn't know that?
I
Oh,
didn't know
yeah,
that.
yeah. So you can insert some more keywords in your headline if you do it on the app.
Interesting.
So my headline's like really long, but if I tried to have that same headline edited on desktop, it would get rejected. So,
I'll be
um,
darned.
yeah, so there you get a little bit more room, and I think that's kind of like a nod to like, hey, this is what recruiters are using. This is what
It's
the people
true.
who pay us money are using a lot of, and they just expanded how much summary you can have too, or how much about section. So we used to be
Oh, I
2,000
love a
characters,
good
now it's
about section.
2,400. Yeah, so I think that gives you some kind of interesting insights into how it's being used by the people that are paying customers
Yeah.
of LinkedIn. Just
That's a
my
really good
thought.
call out. No, I believe it. I mean, just thinking about how we do search and kind of the quick scan,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah,
we even want to talk about the 6-second resume review. But yeah, I mean, you want those keywords to like pop. You want to be
yeah,
like, oh, hey, I'm a software engineer that knows Java. Like, make that known, make it
yeah,
obvious,
yeah.
lead with that. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, awesome. This is great stuff. Just going through my questions that I had noted down. I think we've covered most of it, but and then we'll hop over to. There's quite a few questions that have come up in chat, but
Awesome.
um, let's talk about the thing that we consider a bit differently. Cover letters.
I like them if you write them.
Thanks.
No, I think that you and I are like in lockstep on the need to make it good.
Okay. Yes.
That's the
Absolutely. Yes.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
my complaint with cover letters,
Yes.
honestly, is that y'all are so bad at writing them.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
mean, you
Fair
need an
enough.
expert, okay? Just saying. But no, I think the average job seeker, and I've been guilty of this as a job seeker, contrary to earlier LinkedIn comments, sir, I'm still mad at you. Somebody that came at me today.
Oh no. Are you
I,
serious?
I, you know how it is. So it's a
Oh
day that
god.
ends in Y, and Amy's on the internet. Pew pew.
Oh,
It happens. But no, I mean, contrary to popular belief, I too have been a job seeker. I've been
yeah.
unemployed.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I've done this. I've used that tired old template. I've done the 3-paragraph, model of.
Yep.
I don't even remember how you do it now, but it's really bad. But I also have been on the receiving end. I've received more resumes and cover letters addressed to Amazon before I got to Amazon than since I've been at Amazon.
Okay, that's bad.
So just saying.
That's really big.
I know it's easy to mix them all up. They're all big tech, all in Seattle. I get it, but
Yep.
it's problematic, y'all.
Oh, wow.
They're just not good, and they don't provide any extra insight that I don't already have
Right.
on the resume.
Right.
Here's where they can be a game changer.
Mm.
If you are changing careers, you might need a little extra something to tell me why you're a fit. This is,
Yeah.
and here's the thing about career changing, y'all. You're probably coming in at a much lower level than what you're leaving at. You've been in a career for 10 years, you've reached a certain height, you're coming into a new career, you're not starting up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just so
Let's
you know.
be realistic. Yeah.
So the cover letter is a great way to maybe acknowledge that or explain, like what makes you qualified for this new career path, things like that.
Yeah.
Another one, I'll tell you one that stands out to me that I still think about. The resume was meh. It was like, okay, there's like maybe, and it could be, and again, I work with this really tough crowd, and it's a very specialized kind of skill set and stuff. And I was like, gosh, I don't know. I there might be some goodness there, but I don't know if it's enough. Went back to the cover letter because I skipped it.
Okay.
As I do.
Yes.
But she did something smart. She made the cover letter the first page of her resume.
Right.
So when I opened the single attachment, like it's all there, I'm like, oh, cover letter. Go down to the resume. But when I wasn't sure about the resume, I went back to the cover letter. And this person had wrote this beautiful, like, all about her excitement for what we were building and how it's going to impact and how it, I mean, you could tell that this is somebody who had actually looked at the role we were applying, we're hiring for. She'd looked at the mission of my team. She'd addressed some of the things that we think are important, and her enthusiasm just jumped off the page.
Wow.
And I was like, I mean, like, I'm getting goosebumps just even talking about it, because it was so like, oh my gosh, this is the kind of excitement and passion that we want so badly.
Right.
And so of course I went to the manager. I'm like, you just have to talk to her. Like, I know it's a long shot. And he's like, no, but I tried.
Oh. I
know if I was a thought leader on LinkedIn, I would tell you that we hired her anyway, but that's not how it works in the real world.
No.
But the idea, and I let her know, and I, kind of gave her some positive feedback, like, look, this is like super narrow. This is nothing about you. It's not anything you're lacking. It's just, this is such a weird kind of position. But oh my God, that passion, that enthusiasm, that attention to what you think would be important for us to know about you, killer. I mean, I wish applicants and the general job seeking community had a tenth of her passion. Like, it was beautiful. I mean, like, I'm just, getting all
I love
in my feels.
Yeah. I wonder where she landed.
Somewhere amazing, I'm sure, because she was just the energy and the, I'm going to go check when we're done here, because now I'm curious.
Investigative research. Actually, that's such a great story. And you used a magic word that jogged my memory.
Yeah.
Feedback. So many job seekers are so pissy with recruiters because they didn't give me feedback. I asked them for feedback. I just want to know how I interview, give me some damn feedback. I know why feedback isn't flowing. But can you set the record straight for why?
I can, because we are not allowed to.
There we go.
And here's the thing, like, it's very easy to hide behind that. I get it. Like, believe me, as a recruiter, I have pulled that escape pod button. Okay, let me tell you, sorry, can't run away. But in all seriousness, and it does vary company to company, right? And especially large big tech companies, like, people love to hate on us. I get it. I've been at 3 of them. Ain't nothing changed about that in all 3 of them. Okay. You're either like us or you don't. And if you don't, you're super vocal about it. That's cool. I get it. So there are just, unfortunately, legal and people 27 levels above me are making those determinations and saying this is just how we as a collective talent acquisition organization are going to manage this. Here's the thing. You should know that going in. And so I always tell my candidates from the very first call, just so you know, this is a policy about this. Just so you know, this is what the timeline looks about that and things like that. So I try really hard to be super clear and upfront and transparent. And if it were up to me, I'd give everybody honest feedback. But some of y'all don't want to hear it.
That's also the thing. Like, it's like, I really want feedback, and then you get mad, or they get mad when they hear it.
I can count on one hand the number of times that I have been able to, you know, I worked for a smaller company, or maybe I was an agency or whatever. And I've actually given, you know, like, hey, I'm just going to be really honest with you. Like, I want to help you out for the next time you're in this situation. I want to give you straight, you know, and let me tell you, I got a call. This is when I was an agency recruiter. You don't want to get a call from your client's HR department because your candidate called and bitched about the feedback that your recruiter just gave you. Well, Amy said that the manager said this, this, and this, and I just want you to know that that's not true. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I did not keep that client, in case you were wondering.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. So, so we need to stop expecting the feedback.
I mean, unless the recruiter tells you otherwise, just let it go.
Yeah, for sure. And it's so really, job seekers should stop sending that boilerplate email afterwards. Like, is there any feedback you can give me? You know, after you reject me, is there any feedback you can give me?
Now, here's what you can ask. Okay. You can ask, especially for larger companies, does it make sense for me to continue pursuing opportunities with the organization? Or is there a cooling off period? Should I wait some time? You know, is it better to try again in a year from now? You know, that's okay. And let me tell you, every company is going to do this a little differently, right? That's just how it goes. A company like a Google, for example, they interview for the company. Like, it's very fungible hiring. It's like you meet the Google bar, or you don't, you know, that kind of thing. There is almost always going to be a minimum 1 year cool off period. Now, sometimes the recruiter will tell you right away, like, actually, we can redirect you to something else. Like, you do meet the bar, this team is filled, or this role's gone, or whatever, but we're going to try to find you somewhere else because you do meet the bar and whatever. If it's not a fit for Google, stop beating your head against that wall for at least 6 months, y'all. Like, it's just, again, unless the recruiter explicitly tells you otherwise, I would encourage you to take that as feedback. It doesn't mean you're not a good engineer. It doesn't mean you don't fit the culture or you don't have the right soft skills. It just means the data they collected during that interview was not enough for them to make a yes decision.
That makes sense.
That's it. So you can ask that question. You can ask, you know, is there, you know, would I be a better fit for a different kind of role? We sometimes see people maybe better for program management versus a truly technical role, or vice versa. And so that's okay to ask those kinds of questions. Trust me, the recruiter is not going to lie to you. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, we think you're wonderful, please continue applying. Like, if they do, then they're jerks. That they shouldn't do that unless they mean it, right? But I definitely have said people, hey, you know what? I would recommend you look at roles that are maybe a lower level. Like, I don't think a senior level role is right for you. Based on our interactions so far. But if you wanted to pursue something that was maybe a lower level program management type role, I would encourage that. Like, that's okay. I can say that.
And I would say that speaks volumes to say maybe you should target something that's at a more junior level.
I mean, that's feedback in itself, right? And if you're like, if you're an engineer and I'm like, maybe you should try program management.
Yeah.
You tell me what that means, right? Like, exactly. I'm encouraged to maybe not try out for tenants. Maybe that's not your skill, Amy.
Yeah. That's great stuff. So really, like, is it like, do you recommend that I continue applying for other roles, or do you feel that I may be a better fit for a different type of role at? say Google. Okay, that's
exactly.
great. That's so great. That's such great insight, and that actually ties in with a few of the questions that I'm seeing come across here. So let's see here. This is a comment, not a question.
Okay.
ATA spring on the bots. Hashtag
Hey,
Sherman.
Andy. Sherman says hello. Andy and Sherman are buds. I don't know if y'all knew this. They hang out without me.
Oh,
they
they
probably
do?
talk about me. Yeah. Andy probably won't cop to it, but Sherman can't lie to me.
Of course not. He's a robot.
Exactly. Violates one of the 3 principles, right?
That's right. That's right. Someone was asking about the cooling off period. I'm not sure if you can answer this specifically because they are asking about Amazon specifically.
Yeah. So, hi, Bijou. Honestly, it varies. There's a lot of, it varies. Talk to your recruiter.
and use those 2 magic questions.
And use those 2 magic words. Yeah. Google, I will say this. Google is the only company I've personally worked with that has a very specifically defined period.
Okay.
Microsoft, other places I've been, it is really more on kind of a case-by-case basis. Usually it's more of a redirect, like not for this role or not for this, scope, but okay for other things. So it usually, I guess the best way to answer this for you, Bijou, is unless something pretty egregious went down in the interview at most of these large companies, it's a pretty safe bet that you can certainly apply to and be considered by other teams.
Okay. That's a great point. Okay, this is an interesting question. What is your comment on the easy apply?
I wore the wrong shirt. I should have worn the, I design t-shirts in my spare time.
Yes, I know.
And I actually have one that says, I see you hit the easy apply button. I too like to live dangerously.
Oh yes, I saw that one.
And let me tell you why, Yalda. I'm not a fan, and there is a reason. Normally what I see, I can only assume this is a result of hitting the easy apply button. Could be wrong, but my assumption is this is how this works. I will often get, when I'm looking at my applicants, I'll see when I click on that attachment, because all the resumes are literally an attachment, and I click it, and it either opens a Word document or it opens a PDF. I don't care which. It doesn't matter. It looks like it looked when you uploaded it, okay? So calm down. Don't worry about tables and pictures. Other than tables and pictures are not necessary, but the ATS doesn't care. But when I click that link, it pulls up basically a PDF LinkedIn profile. So if you've ever clicked on PDF on your own profile, you see how kind of ugly it is, right?
Yeah,
so unless your LinkedIn profile is like fully built out and really robust and has all the information I need and looks pretty, when you hit that PDF, turn it into a PDF button or download as a PDF, I think is the option.
Something like that, yeah.
I wouldn't use it. It usually looks blank. There's not a lot of substance. There's not, I just don't have a lot to work with. And I've said this several times on my own channel. If I have 100 people and 40 of them are amazing, I'm gonna start there.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean the other 60 are rejected.
Right.
I might put them in a maybe pile. I might say, I'm not sure. I need more information. I'm going to work with the closest to the money, to coin an old agency phrase, closest to the placement.
Yeah.
First. I've got to work on the people and with the applicants that are a clear match, meet the qualifications, highly interested, available, ready to go. That's where I'm starting every time. So easy apply button, use it with caution, but make sure your LinkedIn profile is like perfect.
Fully stocked.
Yeah.
Fully built out. Yeah.
No questions. No, don't make the recruiter wonder. Yes. We don't like to think.
Yeah. Well, again, it goes back to the homework thing. Like we don't want to create, as job seekers, we don't want to create homework for you.
Exactly.
So, yeah. This is more a comment. Love Amy's energy and enthusiasm. She has such great recruiting insights to share.
Thanks,
Hi, Diana. Thanks for joining us. Diana's a good friend of mine. And Former Google recruiter also.
Oh, so she knows
Yes.
what I'm talking about.
She sure does. She sure does. Thanks for joining, Diana. All right, more stuff here. Okay, let's see. Jude is asking, would it be helpful to let the recruiter know how long it would take to relocate? Oh,
Yeah. No, I think this is
that's a good
good.
advice.
And so here's a good point. So Jude, you're kind of leading to something that I think is important. If a role is open, we probably actually want to fill it. I mean, that
Really?
sometimes catches people off guard. Like,
You don't
you mean
say.
like you'd want me to like interview and start and like join the company in the next 8 weeks? What? Yeah, that's kind of the idea. We kind of doing this little just in time recruiting thing, like where we actually need somebody to come and do a job like yesterday. So yes, that is helpful. It's also one of the questions, and so we didn't really dig into this so much, but I think it's kind of a good way to wrap it up and kind of answer Jude's question as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people will complain, well, why do I have to talk to a recruiter anyway? Exactly for this reason. My job in that first phone screen, that first interview with me before you get to a hiring manager, is to double check all of these questions. Does the person meet the qualifications for the role? Check. Is the person willing to relocate? Check. Is the person available to actually go through the interview process in the next 2 to 6 weeks, depending on the company's process and how long it takes?
Right.
Check. If the person is successful in this endeavor and we make them an offer, will they actually move and start the job in the next, say, 3 months? Check. So these are things that I need to be asking you. It doesn't necessarily need to be in your resume or part of your, application or whatever. I mean, you can, but believe me, it's going to come up in the first conversation. So yes, please do be prepared to talk with me about that and give me a sense of your timing.
That makes so much sense. That makes so much sense. I actually, in the resumes I write, if I have someone who is relocating, say, from overseas to Canada with their permanent resident status, I ask them, "What month are you relocating?" And I'll put that in the contact information.
It's huge.
So yeah,
and I have to answer these questions for my hiring managers. I've had this situation where the manager's been like, what is this person's timing? And if I don't have an answer, well, first of all, I'm not going into that conversation without an answer, just so you know. But secondly, I've had to have this conversation where, like, I had a referral once, actually, not too long ago. And I talked to the person and they have absolutely zero inclination or interest in moving before next year. Now, this was a few months back, so next year was a lot further away.
Yeah,
and so I told the manager, like, hey, I know this person's a referral and I know you're excited about them, but you're going to have to calm down and get excited at Christmas time because they're not moving. And so we had to still then go and find other people and engage other candidates for the role. I mean, as much as we would have loved to hire this person, they weren't there, and that's okay, but we need to know that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, that's some great stuff. And I'm just watching the time. We've just gone over time. So I want to, be respectful of your time and just wrap it up here and let everybody know that you can watch Amy's channel and you have a video coming up tomorrow. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Do you want to plug the topic or surprise? Or?
If you have been following along, we have been beating the money conversation to death. So tomorrow, I am hopefully putting a nice bow on the compensation package. And I am going to be talking about ranges specifically and how companies determine where someone lands within an offer range. This is a huge misconception. No, you are not going to get the maximum of the range. Even I didn't get the maximum. But there's some logic behind that. So I try to dig into that a little bit tomorrow.
Oh, that'll be super helpful.
And, hopefully don't get myself in trouble. But you know me, I'm nothing if not transparent. And I just want job seekers to really have a good, solid understanding going into these compensation discussions, what to expect, what's realistic, and questions you can ask. So it should be good. So yeah, 7 a.m. Pacific time, it drops. And I will be furiously looking at comments and seeing how many people dislike the video.
Dislike? No.
Can you believe it?
No, I can't.
I know.
Every time I go
That's
there,
like feedback, right? Well, can you tell me what you didn't like about it?
Yes,
no, I can't tell you that. I can just hit the downvote button.
But every time I land on your videos, the thumbs up are always like you have 0 thumbs down. So it must be all the
I
stragglers that,
know.
you know,
And
forget.
there's a few
Anyway.
that pop in, after it's made the rounds and stuff on the internet. And then, look, I'm not everybody's cup of whiskey, okay? I get it.
That's very relatable. Same for me. Same for me. And so if you want to watch Amy's amazing videos, I've tagged her or include the link for her channel in the description below. Included the link to recruitinginyogapants.com. I believe I include your Twitter. If I didn't, I'm going to put it in there. Your LinkedIn should be in there too. Anywhere else that you want to be found?
Oh my gosh. I really only use Instagram for dog pictures. So if you have dogs and you post lots of pictures, feel free to follow me on Instagram. I'm just there to lurk and look at dogs. I think that's
like
it.
Most of us.
And then yeah. Hey, I'm Gen X. I'm too old for Snapchat, but still like into Facebook a little bit. So maybe you can find me there too.
And actually, are you going to start using LinkedIn Stories?
I just noticed that they have them now.
Yes.
I saw yours and I was like, this is new.
It's new. It's fun. It's exciting.
Yeah, I might have to try that.
I'm excited about it. I think it opens up a lot of opportunity for job seekers. But yeah, so I have to dig into it a bit more. But can't wait for your video tomorrow. Thank you so much for your time tonight. I really appreciate it. I do see there's some other questions here, which I'm going to answer. Type in because I have other videos to point some people to. And I really appreciate it, Amy. And
Thank
have
you.
a great evening.
So
Hope the dogs are okay. Thank you. Had so much fun.
It was great. We'll do it again soon.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks everyone for joining us. Have
Bye,
a great
y'all.
evening. Bye.